this call active again?
I'm here. If
I'm here.
I'm here.
McGreevy is here.
Yeah, Loman's here. We need Mr. Malone.
I don't know, my head hurts now. So.
And
Just lay it over there. Thank you.
so were you able to get Mr. Malone back?
I don't see him. If I can try to reach him.
I was going to say he may need the link. I mean, the original sent back to him.
Okay.
Who are we waiting on?
Mr. Malone, I believe.
Our chairman.
Oh.
Hey, has anybody added these numbers up? This has got to be one of the heaviest agendas in terms of total dollar amounts.
Yeah.
But in that, are some of these add-ons? Because we did cancel a meeting.
Nope, these were all the same projects that were on the agenda for the 9th.
Yeah. Yeah.
Too early to have a discussion about when we can do face-to-face again.
It won't be for a while.
It's so much easier to see your smiling faces.
Well, Joe, you're the one who hasn't been able to attend.
I don't believe I've ever met Miss Greavy yet, so we got to make that happen.
I know. I was thinking maybe we can do room and Zooms for October. Our room should be completed by then, so we can have it at the technology to actually have a Zoom, have the Teams meeting up, and have in person for those who want to come.
Okay.
But that's at the pleasure of the board, with it, whatever you guys will want.
I'm ready whenever anybody else is, because I'm a much better small room guy.
Me too, Mr. Perez. I have a very heavy voice, so it doesn't look well in public meetings. Seems like I'm always so angry.
You scare me every time we start talking.
What event is Ray's keynote speaker?
Say one more time.
What event is Ray the keynote speaker this evening?
Okay. Can you hear me now?
well, as it's on cue. Yes, hey.
Hey, I'm back. Okay, do we have a quorum? Let's see if we have a quorum. Call the roll, please.
Loman, Loman, can you hear me?
He's muted.
All right, I can see him.
He's
Maven?
actually frozen.
Here,
Oh,
Go ahead. Hopefully he'll see it. Go with the next one.
Maven,
here,
Okay,
Creevy,
Loman is here, by the way.
good. Your mic is showing muted. Go ahead, Loman.
McCreevy,
Present.
Perez,
I'm here.
Williams.
Here.
Yes, we have.
Okay, we have a quorum. We're going back into regular session. I have a motion to move back into regular session. Do I have a motion?
Loman, so moved.
Bob Loman moved to move into regular session. Has been seconded by
Maven.
Joseph Maven. Clerk, call the roll. All in favor?
Aye.
Maven,
Aye.
McCreevy,
Aye.
Perez,
Aye.
Williams.
I
I have 5 ayes.
Okay, we're back into regular session. We're going to move right into our second project that we went out on. Ms. Dortch, I'll turn it back over to you.
The goals are recommend, the total availability was $75,227.50 or 18.98%. Recommended to adjust the goal for her historical utilization to 15 and 15.
There's a goal set on the floor for 15 and 15. Are there any questions? If there are no questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve HRD's goal of 15-15. Loman,
It's been moved by Mr. Loman to accept HRT's goal 15 to 15. Is there a second?
second.
Maven, second.
It's been seconded by Mrs. Williams. Clerk, call the roll.
Loman,
aye.
Maven,
Aye.
Creevy,
Aye.
Perez,
Aye.
Williams.
I
I have 5 ayes, 0 nays.
5 ayes, 0 nays. Ayes have it. Next, the goal is set at 15 and 15. Next project, please.
This is Itzel speaking. The project manager on this one had to leave for a call. I don't know if there's someone else to represent him, or we might have to move it. I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead. That's for number 4. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I can't. Well, I couldn't hear what you said.
I can't hear
You can go. You can go
Go
ahead
ahead,
with number
Edson.
3. You can go ahead with number 3.
Okay, project number 3, citywide streetlight conversion, which is held over. Do you remember what the holdover exclamations were? I believe it was one that we felt that the goal was for too many years and wanted to see that shortened. So is there an exclamation on what the city council or city manager decided on that project? I think it was left up to him, the question, and to the city manager. HRD, do you have a presentation that came from that department?
Yes, Mahmoud, did you want to present or you want me to go ahead and do it?
I can basically tell them about what we changed, and then after that, if you want to add anything, that'd be good. Basically, this is a project to change out all the LED street all the street lights to LED, about 84,000. and add a option for network lighting management system, and also include the maintenance, which currently is under a different contract, so combine the conversion and the maintenance altogether. That was requested by the city council as well as the city manager. So we already had on 2/9/21, we did receive a 15% MBE, 15% WBE for the citywide LED conversion from the board. And also the goals were set at 15 and 10 on 7/11/2019 for the maintenance services part of the contract, which we trying to combine. So what we had previously on last session, where we had some concern about the long period of time for 10 years, the contract's still going to be for 10 years, but it is going to be, the MBE, WBE goals will be set for the first 36 months, which is during the conversion and construction, as well as maintenance part. And then at that point, it will be revised annually with each contract renewal for ongoing maintenance for the next 7 years. And the reason behind that is because we have to have, this is going to be a financed project potentially, which is going to have a installment payment for next 10 years in order for the proposers to be able to recover all the costs, upfront costs for the conversion, which the city does not want to provide at this. I will be glad to answer any question. Andrea, if you have anything to add.
No, I don't have anything to add. We will recommend in the 15 and 10 that was previously set, but on the first 36 months, and that was approved by our city manager to set those for 3 years, and then the 7 annual renewals will come before the board for goal setting.
Okay, board, any questions?
So, HRD is recommending 15 and 10?
Yes.
Okay, because it says 0 and 0.
And on the calculation sheet, which has to be signed, is 15 and 15.
Yeah, I believe
I'm sorry.
HRD has
I'm sorry,
recommended
what did
15
we
and
do?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize. It is 15 and 15. I'm not looking at the right sheet. I apologize. It is 15 and 15 for the 3 years of construction. I apologize.
Okay. And I think that was our concern, is so that this wouldn't run for as many years. And so, board, is that acceptable? If it is, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, am I correct that they've divided it? So that's I mean, that the last breakdown totaled $96 million. And this one totals $9 million.
It's an annual cost breakdown that we have provided to you. So it's still for 10 years,
Okay.
it would be $96 million.
Okay.
Okay.
That was my question. I just wanted to make sure I knew.
Sure.
This is Loman. I would approve HRD's recommendation of 1515.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to accept HRD's recommendation of 15 to 15 to be renewed after 3 years or looked at after 3 years. It's been moved in second. Clerk, call the roll.
I'm sorry, who was the second? I did not get a name on that.
Gabe approved. Who gave the second?
No, Loman approved, Gabe second, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, I'm sorry. Loman approved, Gabe second.
Thank
For
you.
the record.
Roman,
Aye.
Maven,
Aye.
McCready,
Aye.
Perez,
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
I have 5 ayes, 0 nays.
5 ayes, 0 nays. The ayes have it. The goal is set at 15 and 15. But the next 3 years going to be reviewed after that point. Thank you very much for your presentation. We will move on to our next project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just to make sure that I'm following along, we are on project number 4, correct?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Real project number 4. Sidewalk, street sidewalk. 79th Street.
Andrea, this is Itzel. The project manager had to jump on another meeting. So I don't know if the board wants to continue reviewing this or move it to next meeting.
I say we continue. It's not his problem.
I think we have enough information. If the board concurs, we will continue on with it. If not, I'll have to have a motion to set it aside. With no motion, we'll go ahead with the project. HRD, you want to give us your presentation and recommendation for the goals?
The recommendations for this particular project is based on 3 scopes of work: concrete and sidewalk at 16% availability, excavation at 28.4% availability, and sewer at 59.26% availability, for a total contract value of $50,508 or 15.7%, which breaks out to 8% MBE, 8% WBE. Utilizing historical data and segmentation, we are requesting a goal of 16% and 9% based off of the department's analysis of the historical data.
With the department's analysis of 16 and 9, and also with the Public Works Department recommendation of 16 and 9, board, with your concurrence, I'll entertain a motion. Unless there are questions.
So moved.
It's been moved by Mrs. Williams and second by
Maven.
Mr. Maben to accept the goal of 16 and 9. Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Lohman,
Aye.
Maben,
Aye.
McCready,
Aye.
Perez,
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
I have 5 ayes, 0 nays.
5 ayes, 0 nays. Ayes have it. The project goal is set at 16 and 9. We move to project number 5.
Project number 5 is II reduction north of the river, phase 1, Buckeye Creek area. There were 2 scopes of review for availability, and that was sewer had a 59.26% firm availability, landscaping had a 14.7% firm availability, which worked out to $1.792, $510,000 or 15.31%, and that comports to 9% MBE, 6% WBE, with an adjustment for historical data and utilization in the current marketplace. So we are requesting the 9 and 6 be set.
Okay, the goal is set at 9 and 6. On the form in which I'm to sign, I would change that to 9 because it has 10 and 6. So your goal recommendation by the department is 9 and 6, correct?
Correct. It's 9 and 6.
Okay. Questions?
So if I'm, so under the Human Relations Department, in terms of the scopes of work, there's nothing there. Is that how it's going to be moving forward, or was that just a mistake?
No, actually, we're updating the. Oh, they did.
Can someone mute?
Somebody needs to mute their phone. You have a lot of talking in the background. Please mute your phone. We're in session. If anybody can recognize who that is.
Sanjay.
Yeah, it looks like Sanjay.
Can you mute his phone? HRD,
Yes,
you have the ability to mute him out.
Yes, I think that Itzel got them. So, no, we are actually updating and adjusting the form so that it will do the calculations. So you'll have that going forward.
Okay.
Thank you. Keep us informed.
This is McGreevy. I have a question of the department.
Okay.
And I know I've asked this before, but so I'm looking at some of these, and you're basically going to force somebody to subcontract, which we seem to do. But why is it that the M's always get a higher number than the W's? Versus just saying, if we're going to force them to subcontract and we know that they're out there, why isn't it 9 and 9?
We're not forcing. It's a good faith effort. It's segmentation, and I would say that it's within your purview to segment out how you see fit. The department used their historical scope to segment these dollars. I reviewed it, and that shows that the historical plus the availability that I went over in the sewer and landscaping scopes of work, that was consistent with the goal setting. But it is at your pleasure. If the actual availability is 15.31%, which totals out to $1,792,510.
Okay, so the 1,097,000. So the numbers are off. Okay, again, so HRD scopes of work doesn't show. So we're looking at the department scope of work.
Correct. And the departments, if you just do the quick math here, total second 1065 is $1,715,000. But when you actually break down the scopes, it comes out to like 15.31582, something like that. But just to bring it down to the 2 decimal points. And those numbers didn't change with the additional $60,000. It didn't move it significantly. So that's why the math here is different than the math I just told you, because I used the actual calculation of $3 million for the sewer and of $100,000 for the landscaping, with the $60,000 for landscaping and seed inside of $40,000, and that's how we came up with the numbers. So it's a little bit different, about $60,000 different, but it didn't move it significantly.
So are these multiple areas? Is that why some of this would be segmented out?
So
separately?
This has been with the Kansas City Water Department, and it's one large area, and it's large enough that it could be separated out, which is, we've historically done that in the past. So to give you an idea of the area size, I can share my screen, but I don't know if you can see that, but it's north of the river, and it's a huge area there located between the I-29-35 split and 435 on the east, and it straddles I-35 there, so you can get an idea of and what this is it's an investment in the existing sewer system. So it's a lot of repair and maintenance activities with the sewer system, and it can be spread around as desired. So.
Okay.
Let me say this. Mr. McGreevy had a question on the floor, and it's something that I know a lot of people look at. I'm just going to use landscaping as an instance, which is listed under the MBE, but we know that there are plenty of WBEs. Mr. McGreevy, if the contractor came in and he desired to use landscaping, we're not saying that. I don't think the department is saying this is where the goals have to be met, because availability is on both sides. I'm sure if the availability was on the WBE side, as is listed here, and the WBE side, and they came in with a 15% WBE, meeting all of the goals, but they met it with MBEs, WBEs, Well, how would that fare, Andrea, with the department?
We would review the good faith efforts, and if that what the marketplace brought back, then that's what we would utilize. I mean, that's what we would approve.
Okay. Okay. Because if they came back and showed that they had received bids from MBEs and WBEs had the best bid, of course, that's what they're going to be looking at to be able to save the city money as well as to be able to get the project. We don't want a contractor to go out there and use a higher number between the two when they can achieve a goal by using and achieving those numbers.
Absolutely.
And I say that because most of the projects, this one does not. I'm going back to our last project, and I just want to read the notice. And this is extremely important because sometimes we will share this information erroneously. And the notice said the scopes of work and dollar amounts listed on the MWBEDB contract goals requests are being internally estimated only for the purposes of analyzing the availability and capacity of M&WB and DBE to set an appropriate targeted goal. It's not a set aside, not that you have to, nothing contained within this form should be used to limit, restrict, or mandate MWB, DEB participation, particular scopes of work for responding to the formal solicitation, including but not limited to invitation of bid and request for bids. I just thought that it was important that we read that so people would better understand. We're not saying this is where you have to meet your goals or anything.
That's a perfect recitation, Mr. Malone.
So I just hope that helps in that area. Are there any other questions? If there are no other questions, we will entertain a motion to accept the goals that have been set at 9 and 6 is what the recommendations are by the department and the department. Are there any other questions? If there are no other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a
Chair, this is
motion.
Bob Loman. Oh,
Go ahead, Bob.
I move to approve 9 and 6.
Mr. Loman has moved to 6 and 9 and 6, and Mrs. Wimmer has seconded. Clerk, call the roll.
Loman,
Aye.
Maven, McCreevy,
Oh, sorry, aye.
Perez, Williams.
Aye.
I think we might have lost Maven and Perez because I only have 3 ayes at the moment.
Okay, 3 ayes, and so I guess this is the point where to meet the quorum, the chairman has to vote. So I vote aye.
I have 4 ayes, 0 nays.
4 ayes, 0 nays. Clerk calls the roll, please. I'm sorry. The project has been approved at 9 and 6. I'm getting ahead of my own self. The project has been approved at 9 and 6. Next project, please.
Thank you.
HRD, will you give us project number 6, please?
Number 6 is runway 9-27 pavement repairs. We looked at 3 scopes, airport pavement and marking, and there was 14.63% firm availability. And in hauling, there was 84.33% availability for a total of $513,700 for for the work scope, or 18.3% of availability, which would adjust for 9%, 9%. We adjusted it for historical data and utilization and are recommending a goal of 9 and 6 or 15%.
Are the is there any presentation?
I'm sorry, it's yeah. We're on project number 6, and I think that's the one you were looking at earlier, Mr. Malone. It's 10 and 6 on the sheet, but it should be 9 and 6.
Yes. I've made the correction.
I move that we go with the department's recommendation of 9 and 6.
It's been moved by Mrs. Wimp to go with the project's recommendation of 9 and 6. Is there a second?
Loman, second.
It's been moved and second by Bob Loman that we accept the project at 9 and 6. All in favor? Clerk, call the roll.
Loman,
Aye.
McGreevy,
Aye.
that I saw Perez join back on. Perez,
Yeah, aye. Sorry about that.
Williams,
Aye.
4 ayes, 0 nays.
4 ayes have it. Project goal has been set at 9 and 6. Next project, please.
Project number 7 is New Terminal Digital Ad Program. We looked at 3 scopes of work, including all of carpentry, and we had 92.85% availability. And in electrical, we had 51.28% availability, and we had painting of 86% availability. That worked out to $808,739 of total scope of work, or 80.1%. I did adjust it for prime self-performance in a particular area, and am recommending goals of 10% MBE and 10% WBE. But it is also within the Fairness Board's authority to not set goals on this project if it so pleases.
Ms. Dirks, just to clarify though, the department's recommendation is 10 and 10, correct?
The department's recommendation was 5 and 5.
No, on
HR.
CREO's recommendation is 10 and 10.
Correct.
Okay. I would make a motion to accept. Oh, excuse me.
I just had a question. What would be why would the Fairness Board not set a goal?
It is available to exempt a particular project from goal setting and just require good faith efforts based on the high availability that there may be a prime that is an MBE or WBE that would participate in the project bidding and may actually win it, being that it's 80% availability.
And the prime contractor would meet those goals if it was
The prime contractor. Yes, sir. The prime contractor would be able to meet their goals with their own utilization and subcontract as they using good faith efforts for any other areas.
Okay.
If it were a certified prime contractor.
Yeah.
If it were, sir. Yes.
Okay.
And I could very easily see a steel contractor or just a regular general contractor bid in this project and then being able to meet those goals easily, or a general contractor. So I'm in favor of setting goals on this project if the board concurs, as you have done.
I had a quick question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Kate.
I just noticed in the breakdown, these are awfully clean numbers. Is this particular work, or is this just kind of, estimated stuff?
Is someone from
Anybody
KCI
there?
on the call?
Anybody on from the aviation department?
I'll answer that. How I set the goals were I utilized the carpentry, framing, drywall, interior trims, carpet, and flooring, all as one scope of work of $670,000, because they were all in the same NAICS code and had the same availability. And then electrical was broke out separately, as well as painting.
Yeah.
So yes, they look very clean.
It's more of a construction question. I don't know if they actually had actual work in mind, or they have $1 million that they want to spend on interiors. And the real question is, will it in fact go to a certified MB or WB based on what? I don't know that we can answer that question. So I would assume we would have to set some kind of goals.
Yeah, Gabe, I could very easily see an electrical contractor based upon what the work is by the description, new terminal digital advertising program. I could very easily see that being an electrical contractor, and that could be a majority electrical contractor who wouldn't do flooring, painting, and different other things that are listed in there. So I could very easily see that being a goal that's very achievable. And then some.
Yeah, and that's what. Yeah, and that's why I'm asking: is this specific work, or just kind of we think it's going to be about $1 million, or we don't know what we're doing yet? And should we be setting goals on something we don't know anything about yet? Digital advertising program.
It's specific to the advertising spaces for the KCI terminal. It's part of the FAA's ACDBE program. So it'll
are
be
we
for
building? Are we building?
area.
Are we building banners or above tenant build-out spaces? Are we building walls to house digital advertising? Are we, I don't know what we're building.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I can only assume, and I don't want to assume. So I'm going to say I don't know that part of it, but I can just from the description and what the breakout was, I would assume that. So that's what we based it on, or what I based
it appears Mr. Waller from the aviation department has his hand up.
Oh, okay, good.
Mr. Waller, are you available? Mike Waller?
Well, his hand is up, but now it looks like he must have left.
I just
He needs a new call-in
number.
Well, I'm back. I've been muted the last 3 jobs for some reason, but I am back.
Good. Thanks, Joe. Again, Gabe, I can very easily see your understanding. There are areas in which covenant and restrictions are required so that things would be of the same nature. It sounds as though they're hiring an advertising company to make sure that that there's a coordination of what's being put out there, that it would be the same, so that it won't be hodgepodged.
Right. I could see if I had a better description of what they're talking about with mandated specific equipment, that guy is going to easily sub out framing of steel trusses and sheathing and carpentry and drywall to a MB or WB company. And that's why I'm asking, is this clean, or is it just $1 million is pretty clean to me?
Yes, it is.
Maybe they don't know what that equipment is. Yeah, Mike, I just wanted a little bit of an explanation on what the scope is.
Yeah, okay, great. I'm sorry. I apologize, everybody. I had an issue with here. So basically, this is the new terminal digital advertising program, and basically what it involves is basically for the first phase. When I say the phase, first 2 to 3, perhaps even as long as the first 5. This is basically plug and play. This is visual TV screens and things like that that are going to be basically plugged in. The terminal building is being designed and constructed to where all of this digital terminal advertising will be able to be plugged in and be ready to go on the first day. I think it's really important to note the life of the contract is 10 years, and after 5 years, there will be a refurbishment. And that's where we got a majority of our cost breakdown, was the potential refurbishment at 5 years. and in the RFP for the digital advertising program, there was a statement that we wanted to encourage M&WBE participation. So that's why we came in with $1 million. We really don't know what that's going to be at this point because we don't know what kind of refurbishment we're going to have after that 3 to 5 year period. I think it's important also to note that that this program is also the development, the operation and management aspects of this program are subject to the Federal Aviation Administration Airport Concession Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, or ACDBE, and concession relating to current federal regulations. And that goal is 16%. And so we are going to have a federal DBE goal of 16%. And we didn't want, we just wanted to make sure that we had M&WBE participation, and that's why we chose 5. And I hope that answers your question. I think it's probably kind of a long walk from point A to B there, but that's what we were thinking, and that's how we arrived at the 5 and 5 number.
Okay. My question is, specifically, you said plug and play. I get that, but you've got $500,000 broken down for carpentry and framing.
Sure.
What are you building?
The refurbishment. We don't know what the refurbishment is going to be at this point. There may be we might move,
I get it.
Establish some new digital advertising. We might do some mounted digital advertising. We just don't know what we're going to do quite yet when we after 3 to 5.
All right. I just wanted the board to hear that we don't really know what we're doing quite yet. So I don't want to belabor the point. Just it's not clear to me what we're doing. Sounds like we don't know for sure.
Hello, Moto.
When is this expected to go out for bid?
I believe my colleague Steve Scareppa is on the line. I hope he still is. Steve, are you still with us today? He may have disconnected earlier after everyone went to closed session. So the solicitation date for this RFP is 10/1 of 2021. I'm sorry, 22, pardon me. I'm sorry, no, I'll pause this. It's this year. So we're going to advertise this in 2021, October. But the terminal building is opening in the first quarter of 2023. And so there will be some work. We don't even know if it's going to rise to the $300,000 mark at that point, whenever the terminal building opens. But we just felt that there was a possibility that there would be about approximately $1 million in investment over the 10-year contract. Given the sophistication of this project, we're all learning as we go, really, with this project, and in particular with this program and how it relates to the project.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any other questions that you might have of Mike, Mr. Waller? Okay. If there are no other questions of the Department of HRD's presentation.
I have nothing further.
Pardon me?
I have nothing further.
Okay. If there's nothing further, the Aviation Department has a goal of 5 and 5. Kira has a goal of 10 and 10. Board, it's in your hands. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we set a goal of 10 and 10. Maben.
Mr. Maben has moved to set Creole's goal of 10 and 10. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Has been seconded by Mrs. Williams. Clerk, call the roll.
Bowman.
Aye.
Maven.
Aye.
McCready.
Aye.
Perez?
I'm gonna go no.
Williams?
Aye.
I have 4 ayes, 1 nay.
We have 4 ayes and 1 nay. Ayes have it. The goal has been set at 10 and 10. Next project, project number 8. It's in Creole's hand at this time.
This is
Gabe,
it.
I
So,
believe that.
Andrea, number 8 and 9 were Mark's, but I don't see him on the call.
Your Pike projects.
Oh, he might be on the call, actually.
What's that?
Is it Andrew Bryan?
Mark, are you on the line?
Yeah, here I am. I'm on it.
Oh, okay.
Project number 8 is PIEA CS 2021-TWAC, the apartments at Westport Commons for $33,939,000, and it's a PIEA project. So is there someone here to discuss the project?
This is Chip Walsh speaking. I'm not with the PIEA, but I am with the development team and would be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Did you help?
Can I ask who the development team is?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question. Please repeat.
I was just wondering who the development team was.
Sure. This project is being advanced by HP Development Partners 2. It is a local development group. It has been working on adaptive reuse projects for a number of years, mainly taking former schools that have been repurposed by the Kansas City, Missouri School District and finding new use. This is the 3rd project that our group has worked on in some form or fashion. This is the former Westport Senior High at 315 East 39th Street. It is the next phase of what we call globally the Westport Commons redevelopment. The initial phase was the Westport Junior High, which came online in 2017 as 160,000 gross square feet of commercial flex space, also known as co-working. For the apartments at Westport Commons, the existing historic structures will be converted to 138 market rate apartments with approximately 20,000 rentable square feet of commercial office. As was noted, the construction budget is just over 33 million, and we are moving forward. As far as the PIEA, this project is only utilizing sales tax exemption on construction materials. There is no tax abatement of any type on the property. That is a deed restriction and a condition of sale by the Kansas City Public School District to the ownership group at the time of purchase.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, is that the end of your presentation? If there are no questions, we'll move to the analysis by HRD.
Okay, HRD looked at this one. There's dozens of scopes of work available on this project, and found availability for WBEs in the electrical high and low voltage and in the roofing, and on the MVE side, on the plumbing and materials, and the flooring and tile. The only scopes of work where they didn't find any availability was in moisture protection, and that may have been because they were could have been waterproofing, which we do have some availability in, and then no MBE availability in the fire sprinklers, and no WBE on the residential appliances. So those are the only ones where there was no availability, and HRD is recommending a goal on this one of 14% MBE and 14% WBE.
Thank you, Ranji.
You bet.
Board, do you have any questions of Mr. Ranji or for the developer? If there are no questions, I think we have ample information. I'll entertain a motion.
This is Bob Lohman. I would move to accept CREO's recommendation of 1414.
There's a motion on the floor to accept the CREO's recommendation of 14 and 14. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second. Is that Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
By Mrs. Williams. Clerk, call the roll.
Bowman,
Aye.
Saban,
No.
McCreevy,
Aye.
Perez,
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
I have 4 ayes, 1 nay.
Ayes have it. The goals has been set at 14 and 14. Thank you. Next project, please.
Okay, the next project is also a PIEA project, CS 2021-TH, for a recommended for the Air World Ambassador PIEA Phase 2 True Hotel for $7,133,250. Is there someone from the developer to discuss the project?
Mr. Chairman, this is Patricia Jensen with the Rouse Fretz Law Firm, and we represent KMG Hotels that is proposing the construction of a second hotel up near the airport. Actually, it's about 103rd and North Ambassador Drive. This is the second phase of this PIEA project. The first phase was redevelopment of an existing office building into the Hilton Garden Inn Hotel. You see that on the east side of I-29 as you're traveling to the airport. That was a successful redevelopment. And now we are moving towards the second phase of the PIEA project, which is to construct a new hotel, which is True Hotel. The staff's recommended goals are 14% MBE and 14% WBE. When we were asked what we thought we could achieve, and the staff had asked us that, we looked at the availability and felt we could achieve 13% MBE and 6% WBE. We are willing to accept the 14 and 14 and will advertise and bid accordingly. And if we have issues, we'll come back to the staff and to this board.
Thank you. Very good. Okay. Thank you very much for that presentation. Curiel, do you have your analysis of the project?
Sure. On this one, there were also dozens of scopes of work available, and there's good availability in most of the scopes of work. We found MBE participation on the excavation, the landscaping, the let's see, where's the next one? Building insulation, and the electrical. And on the WBE side, we found participation in the HVAC and in the doors and frame hardware. Anything else? Let's see. No, that's it. And then there was availability in almost everything. There was no availability of MBEs found in the FRP, fiber reinforced polymer, There was no WBE found in mirrors or elevators. And then we also had WBE availability in plumbing, I see.
Okay. All right, thank you. Let me say this to the developer. If you run into any problems after HRD has shown all of these availabilities, if you run into any problems, please reach out to the HRD department, and I'm sure they'll be able to assist you in trying to achieve those goals. Are there any questions?
We certainly will.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I had a quick question of the developer.
Yes, Mr. Perez.
Is there not a line item for electrical? Or is it included somewhere where I'm not seeing it?
Hey, Gabe, I see it. It's right towards the bottom. It's almost down to the HRD recommended totals. It says electrical, 775,000, and that's one of them we recommended for MBE.
Okay, and that's under utilities. So
yeah, it's below utilities. The utilities is a separate line item.
What is there any particular reason why that's there? Is that in fact an electrical utility number? Total cost? I assume it's total building. It's just a little odd to have it over there. I wonder if it was something special.
I guess that would go to the developer.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we received these from our contractor. Jim Ecton, are you still on?
Yeah, I'm here. The 775, that's an electrical.
Right, but it's set at the very bottom of this rather than at the top.
I think we
just
put
a
it on the
housekeeping
form we were
question. Given. Okay, obviously we have availability there too. So.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All right. But they're typically set by the NETS codes, which would have been close to that area, but not quite down that far. Okay. Are there any other questions since it is listed? If there are no questions, I will entertain a motion from the board to accept either the recommendation from the developer or the recommendation from Creo.
This is Bob Lohman. I would move to approve the Creo goals 1414.
There's a motion on the floor by Mr. Lohman to accept Creo's goal of 14 and 14. Is there a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved and seconded by Mr. Perez. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Lohman.
Aye.
Laban.
Aye.
McGreevy.
Aye.
Perez.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
I have 5 ayes, 0 nays.
5 ayes, 0 nays. Ayes have it. The goal of this project is set at 14 and 14. Thank you very much. We move on to our next project, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Your project number 10.
Project number 10 is PIEA CS 2021-3200 three-way view height apartment. Don't know if anybody online to discuss the project.
Okay, and give us your name, the presenter.
I'm sorry, I'm Gabe.
Okay, Gabe. All right, thank you. Is there anyone on from the developer, Eagle Point Development?
Yes, this is Dan Osman. I'm working with Eagle Point Development on the Ridgeview Heights Apartments project. And on the call should be also Steve Schock and John Daniel for EM Harris. They're the general contractors for the project. Let me tell you a little bit about the general nature of the project itself, and then go into some other details. So it is 192 apartments over 48 buildings. This is at Emmanuel Cleaver Boulevard in Hardesty. right along Van Brunt Boulevard. So there's two different project sites, the west project site and the east project site on both portions of the street. This was originally, it's an existing building. It was already built in 1948 as a home for veterans. And this particular project is going to be for low-income housing. They're going to be redeveloping the buildings that are already there. And in fact, the developers have line items for relocation services during the development process for people that are currently in the buildings themselves, so so that they can work with them and get them moved out as needed. So that is the project itself. But I wanted to go into a little bit more detail about something else. So this is a joint PIEA project and MHDC, MHDC being a state level funded program. And the MHDC goals are at 10% MBE and 5% WBE. Now, the policy of the city of Kansas City is to match those goals. In fact, there was an email from what was then Manager Dortch, but now Director Dortch, to the executive directors of the various statutory agencies, including PIEA, that said that she's writing to share the results of the city's interpretation of the matter because they asked the question, what happens when you have joint MHDC PIEA goals? And she says the consistent policy is for state agency program goals to exclusively apply. Accordingly, HRD will review all incoming projects and set the goals in accord with the MHDC goals. Whenever MHDC is involved, we will send a written document back with the then applicable state goals. We let HRD CREO know that this is an MHDC project. There are goals of 10 and 5, and we just needed this to match those goals. That's not what happened, so I'm uncertain why CREO decided to not adhere to the city's policies or their internal procedures on this, but we would ask the Fairness and Construction Board to adhere to MHDC goals and set the project at 10 and 5. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mrs. Dortch, or who's doing the presentation for it?
Gabriel Kaur. Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Gabe, I'd like to respond. That was under the policy of former director Yelder. So those do not apply. After reviewing the policy is that the city of Kansas City, Missouri sets independent goals, irrespective of what the state or feds may set. Here for the portion that is the city of Kansas City, Missouri. For the MHDC amount, they may set the 10 and 5. What we have traditionally recommended is that if you utilize our database, because of reciprocity, you would be able to meet both goals without any issues. So that's, Gabe, you may go ahead and take the floor from there.
Yes. The developer set the goal for 11 and 7, and our department has set a goal of 15 and 11. This is a project with approximate cost of $9,139,300. There were a lot of almost all availability in all area that apply. And so that is the goal. We set a goal for 15 and 11 based on the availability. So if there's anyone with a question, you have to answer.
And again, we're not objecting to their analysis or the availability, just the interpretation. I mean, it's a city interpretation, not merely CREO as a department. And none of this will change the fact that we're going to seek as much availability as possible on the project. I know that EM Harris works consistently with MBE and WBE contractors and other projects. I know that Eagle Point wanted to bring me on because they were serious about adhering to the policies. I know that we're still going to go through the good faith effort process, meet the reporting requirements on a monthly basis for MHGC and CREO.
Hello?
Anybody there?
Is anyone there?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Okay. Now.
Yeah.
I'm in a board meeting. No. I'm in a board meeting. Are you finished?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry for the interruption. Okay. Are there any other questions? HRD has done his presentation, and so has Equal Point. Board is in your hands. What is your recommendation? To accept Equal Point's recommendation or a CREO? So we're into questions right now.
Are we bound to, I guess this is for Ms. Darsh, are we bound by any previous assessments made by a former director?
No.
I've never known us to have a project where we accepted someone else's assessment.
That was pre-Fairness and Construction Board. It was, I believe it was prior to the new ordinance, the new MBE WBE ordinance based off the previous, the most current disparity study.
Thank you for the clarification. That makes sense. All righty. Thank you, Joe, for the question. Any other questions? If there are no other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
This is Bob Lohman. I would move to accept CREO's recommendation of 1511.
There's a motion on the floor by Mr. Lohman to accept HRD's recommendation, CREO's recommendation of 1511. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
One more time.
Maben, second.
Thank you, Mr. Maben. Second by Mr. Maben. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Lohman,
Aye.
Mason,
Aye.
Rudy,
Aye.
Perez,
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
I have 5 ayes, 0 nays.
5 ayes, 0 nays. The ayes had it. The goal is set at 15 and 11. Our next project, project number 11. Last project for today. Thank you.
This is Gabriel Code again. The project number 11 is TIF CS 2021 Woody Highway and Nolan Road. I need the Bob online to give us more information.
Is there anyone representing Bennett Packaging of Kansas City?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Chris Maddox. I'm an attorney with Rouse Fretz White Goss here on behalf of Bennett Packaging. This is an existing blighted and mostly vacant shopping center that used to be anchored by a Sam's Club at Highway 40 and Nolan Road in Kansas City, Missouri. Bennett Packaging is a manufacturer of corrugated cardboard products, the types of items that you typically see on the end cap displays at your local grocery store. This project that we're looking at today is for phases 1A and for phases 2. Phase 1A is the refurbish of 155,000 square foot inline retail facility that used to be a Sam's Club into a manufacturing facility, and then the addition of 147 square foot new building to that facility. Our total project costs for phases 1A and 2 are about $10 million. And when we broke out our scopes of work to identify scopes where we think we could have ample MBE and WBE participation, we arrived at a goal of 15% MBE and 10% WBE. When we received HRD's recommendation, their recommendation was largely in line with the scopes of work that we had identified, with the exception of 3 areas. The first area is on asphalt paving and base. When we downloaded the list of available MBEs for asphalt paving and base, we searched the term asphalt, and 11 total asphalt contractors popped up. 6 of the 11 are related for the trucking of asphalt. The remaining 5, we've reached out to those remaining 5. At least 2 are out of business, and 2 only talk about pothole repairs and not the type of work that would involve the repaving of a very large parking lot surface area. So we are hopeful that we'll be able to track down the last remaining MBE for that category. But at this point in time, we just don't feel like there's a lot of availability for MBEs for asphalt paving and base. The next item I'd like to point out for MBE was a duplication of
say which one again?
Final construction cleaning. HRD put in amounts in both the MBE and WBE column, which doubled up what our budget was for that item. So we would just request that that figure be removed from the MBE column, because we have identified a WBE that we think will be able to perform that scope of work. So that second point just involves the correction of an error. And then finally, for WBEs, HRD identified $376,500 for fire sprinklers as a WBE contractor. When we pulled up all WBE contractors that perform anything related to fire or fire suppression, only 7 total results came from the current database. Again, this was run as of September 8th, 2021. Most of these WBEs provide fire alarm systems, fire extinguishers, or things of that nature. There are only 2 WBEs that provide fire engineering services, so they could design our fire suppression system, but they do not offer any installation. So we just feel that $376,000 obviously encompasses both the design and the installation of that system, and we could not identify any WBE available for that scope of work.
Thank you. I'm sure HRD will be able to bring some light to those concerns. HRD is in your hands, and please do address the areas of concern.
Yes, we set those goals based on the availabilities, but also there are some areas that we did not allocate because we just set 17 and 13, but there are availabilities in the other areas. So if there is a limitation in those areas that are being suggested by HID, the developer or the prime can be able to see availabilities in the other areas that are in the list we have not allocated.
Okay. Would you, for my purposes, will you address the asphalt paving and base? Because I was sure, Carton, from my knowledge, that we had M and WBEs in the asphalt paving and base areas. Can you give us shed some light on availability, or do you have anything to help us as a board?
Well, it's something that I have to look into our database again, but what I considered, actually, this is like one of those assignments that was moved to me recently. I was not doing some of this, but I think I just look under the general concrete work, and that is what my analysis was based on. But in asphalt, I think it's something that I have to look into it and see, so that I can do more research if I need to.
Okay, as an articulate board, I think we have some members of the Fairness Board. Can you help us if there are firms, the M and WBE, other than trucking in those areas? This is to the board.
Well, you've got 3 WBEs in asphalt, T-Knock, Little Joe's, and what's the other one? I know you got 3 that $128,000 job is not even a big job for them.
What is Superior Bowen?
They're not a minority or a female.
Okay, all right.
But you've got 3 strong WBs I know of.
Okay.
And this is
Mr.
Andrea
Chairman.
Dortch.
Go ahead, Andrea.
I was just going to say that what I just looked up, that we had 17 firms available out of 76 total in the NAICS code, which is a 22.36% availability in that scope.
Okay.
In the asphalt and paving.
Yes, and that's not trucking and asphalt paving, sir.
Correct.
So
that's asphalt.
So CREO is recommending 17 and 13. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes.
And the developer is recommending 15 and 11.
15 and 10.
15 and 10. Okay.
I would, if I may, real quick, I would like to point out that if we move a scope of work from asphalt paving and base from MBE to WBE, you know, there could be in WBEs, we just didn't look at that, but that does have a direct impact on the specific goal that we are setting for these M's and W's. We have to separate those and then try to comply separately and meet those goals. So, you know, we talk about setting goals in total and we look at availability in total on a combined basis between M's and W's, but that split does matter. It does impact the project.
Not so. Would you explain that to him from Ms. Dortch?
Yes, so you have to make a good faith effort. They're not quotas, so it's nothing that you have to attain. But you should make a good faith effort for inclusion in those areas that have been identified, as well as in other areas of availability. In addition, when we do the breakout, it does appear that there were 12 M's and 5 W's that could perform in those scopes of work, which would make those eligible to participate. So whether you got it on the minority side or the W side, in that particular scope, you would be in good shape, or at least, you know, do the good faith efforts to achieve that.
My understanding of how the liquidated damages penalty works, though, is that if you meet your goal for M, but you fall short of your goal for W, you will be assessed liquidated damages based on falling short in that goal, absent demonstrating good faith efforts. So, it does make a difference.
But I think you need to read the statement at the bottom of the list again. These are just guides. There's availability in a lot of scopes you haven't tapped.
Right.
Yeah, that was going to be my, Mr. Chair, if I can make a comment.
Sure, definitely, please do. I think a little clarification is needed.
Regardless of the line items that he pointed out where he was having difficulty, there is a substantial number of scopes that we have no dollar amounts in. I don't know the particulars of your construction, but it seems to me, you know, use roofing. You're putting an addition on. I assume you don't have some kind of roof on it yet. It was not broken out, and we know we've got a lot of availability there. I can go up and down the list, and some of these numbers have been broken out. You know, utility relocation 668,000, and you represented 15,000. So I'm not picking on you on about your project. I don't know if this is tilt up, if it's bar joist, if it's
prefab metal,
pre-engineered. I'm not sure, but it seems like with the top, 147,000 square feet, there ought to be some numbers, some dollars represented in some of these other scopes, which would easily get you to the suggested goals.
And we certainly appreciate that. I mean, when we prepared our CUP, we actually identified several more scopes of work than HRD came back with. HRD removed our utility reload. They removed our site and building concrete. They removed a couple other items and put everything into site work. You know, on net, it was about the same in terms of the dollar amount, which is why, you know, we didn't really take issue with that. It was just the identification of these two additional scopes of work, asphalt paving and fire sprinklers, where we look at the list and we just don't see any availability in terms of contractors being able to meet those dollar amounts. And so again, we would strongly urge the board to consider our request for 10 and 15, or 15 and 10.
Well, let me just, go ahead.
No, go right ahead, Bridget.
I had a couple questions. One, do you already have a general contractor selected?
Yes, we do. In fact, it's A.L. Huber, Phil Thomas. He may be on the line. He can answer any additional questions if there's specific engineering questions or contractor questions.
So it's A.L. Huber, and this is okay. And then my other comment is that just because HRD moved your scopes of work doesn't mean that you have to choose. You have to get your participation from those scopes.
Oh, I agree with that. But it's the identification of additional scopes beyond what we had identified that is adding to our budget and forcing us to look outside of the other areas that we've already identified. And then I don't hear HRD being able to defend, especially on the fire sprinkler. 3 cases ago, when we were at the Westport Middle School, I believe I heard HRD state that there was no WBE in fire sprinklers. I believe that was a conclusion that they commented on that, again, Westport Middle School case, I think 3 or 4 cases ago.
So I must have missed it. It says 40 Highway and Nolan Road TIF plan. What is, so it's not, what is it? What's happening? What are you doing on this project?
So this, at the beginning of my presentation, I described Bennett Packaging. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now.
Bennett Packaging of Kansas City is a corrugated cardboard manufacturer. They take raw materials and then they make finished products. They design and create cardboard products that you typically see in grocery stores for retail displays. They are headquartered in Lee Summit in the underground, the caves, and they are relocating to make this their corporate campus. It'll be primarily light manufacturing with some office uses and a 3PL development eventually. But this project is essentially taking a blighted, dilapidated, vacant shopping center that used to be a Sam's Club, Petco. This is actually the site of a infamous bar and restaurant here in Kansas City where there was multiple shootings that you read about in the paper. They closed down that nightclub that was in this part of town. And through the TIF, we are redeveloping this project again to make this a manufacturing facility and world headquarters for Bennett Packaging and Displays. So gotcha. it's the reconfiguration and repurposing of an existing facility. And as part of that, we do have to bring in some additional prefabricated steel buildings to give us the square footage that we need on our manufacturing floor.
Does that answer?
Chris,
yes.
This is Phil Thomas with A.L. Huber, and I am on the line if you did have any questions.
And this is Andrea again. And I heard you say that your contractor utilization plan, you already have it prepared.
Well, I take that back. When I said CUP, I meant the budget. Our budget is obviously going to form the basis of our CUP. So I misspoke. I apologize.
Okay, no worries. I just wanted to explain that, you are right in the middle of the goal setting process. We would depend on you going out to the market with your CUP and bringing that back. And then we will review that for your good faith efforts if you did need to request a waiver. But, if you do what we believe that is available, you should bring back that those numbers, but it's not necessary that you do. It's just that you make a good faith effort. You can follow those along. We will be right there to assist you if you're having any issues with advertisement, or there's a couple of organizations on the line as well that you can work with to get those scopes out in advertisements.
And I appreciate that. I mean, we certainly will do our best to comply with the good faith efforts, but again, I just don't see, you know, the point of setting the goals higher than what we think we can achieve. And I think that's an indefensible position in light of the fact that there are no WBEs that offer implementation and installation for fire sprinklers. You know, I think the burden's on HRD to justify why they're increasing our goals 3% for WBEs, and they pointed out that's the category, and there aren't any.
So these are all of the total scopes of work that you have in this project, what you've shown here. These are the only scopes of work.
For phases 1A and 2, yes, sir.
Yes.
And if I can jump back a little bit, like if you see like an area of a site work, which is about $1 million, the site and building concrete, which is about $2 million, and I think the only thing was allocated is almost 255,000. So still there's a plenty of availability. It's just like what we put is just a guidance, but it's not like a law. You know, it's something that you can move around to be able to fit those numbers in.
Yeah, but I thought that the point of the goal setting exercise was to look at availability and then to identify those scopes of work that fit availability. I agree with everything that you're saying. You know, we can certainly move things around, but I don't feel like the justification for 17 and 13 is there.
So can you, this might be a question for Mr. Huber, or the representative from Mayo Huber. Have you already selected your subs?
Hi, this is Phil Thomas with A.L. Huber, and no, the final subcontractor selection has not been made. And Chris's point was, you know, we sat down and spent a lot of time studying this, going over it with Chris, and came up with the 15 and 10, which were in excess of the default goals. And you know, this project's it's a big pre-engineered building. There's not a whole bunch of different scopes of work on it, and you know, when we submitted the budget in 15 and 10, we certainly felt like those were great goals to meet. And then what Chris is pointing out is we're very much in line, except for the couple instances of, you know, there's not, you know, fire sprinkler added to the WBE goal. If that's not there, it's 10%, and it matches our goals exactly. And then if you take out the duplication on the final cleaning and even half of the asphalt, it matches the goals that we had submitted.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Jay.
Phil, can I ask you a question, Gabe Perez? Now that I've learned that it's a pre-engineered building, because I'm struggling with your scope breakouts. You got 47,000 square feet building addition, and you have just a little over 20 scopes of work. On your breakout, where is your pre-engineered dollars? What line item is that?
I'm not sure the form you're looking at. There is about 1.5 million in pre-engineered metal building cost, and then it's almost the same 1.5 million in the erection of that building.
So those numbers are not represented on your breakout.
I know the erection number is the pre-engineered metal building material purchase is excluded from that breakout.
Okay. So that's the reason why we don't have a breakout for like the roof and a couple other items.
Right, it's all one package, purchase package.
But your total pre-engineered building is part of this $10 million package, correct?
Excuse, I'm not real clear on what the question is.
You just told me you have 1.5 million in the PEB, the pre-engineered metal building.
Yes.
I want to make sure that that money is included somewhere in this package, and I don't see it.
Oh, I think Chris
can.
Yeah, also I can speak to that. So again, this comes to Fairness and Construction Board through the TIP Commission. This is a TIP project. In our TIP redevelopment agreement, we had identified this $1.5 million pre-engineered building as being something that is going to be accepted from the TIP Commission's policies on this goal setting. Because it is a pre-engineered building, you know, the availability of sole source contractors to come in and
know all about pre-engineered buildings.
Okay.
My question was, because you've had such a limited scope breakdown, I was wondering where you're picking all that stuff up at.
Yeah.
And it sounds like what you want to do is
it is in our
make
budget.
it part of.
Yeah.
According to my sheet, the pre-engineering mental building erection is the last item for $1.5 million.
But that's beyond the total project cost. That's not added into it. It's listed there. It's not a part of the 10 million.
No, the building erection is part of the 10 million.
The erection is,
Yes,
but the last item, the pre-engineered erection is 1.5, and the metal building itself is 1.5, but it's not listed in the total dollar cost.
That's
if
correct.
you have the same sheet that we are looking at.
Right.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Mr. Maben, this is Phil Thomas. That was again, that was specifically excluded in the TIF agreement, the actual purchase of the metal building.
Okay, it would be good, you know, for us as the fairness board, you know, if we know that up front, and then that would help save questions like Mr. Perez have, because we in the past have looked at the project in its entirety, entire cost. So if it's excluded, let's make sure that those are noted for the fairness board. Are there any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, this is Bob Lohman. I'm prepared to make a motion.
Okay, Mr. Lohman, it's in your hands.
And I would make an alternative motion to either the department or CREO 14 and 14.
14 and 14. There's a motion on the floor by Mr. Lohman to set a go by the Fairness Board of 14 and 14. Is there a second?
McGreevy will second.
It's been moved and second to accept, to set a go at 14 and 14. Clerk, will you call the roll?
Bowman,
Aye.
Maben,
No.
McCreevy,
Aye.
Perez,
No.
Williams.
Aye.
I have 3 ayes, 2 nays.
3 ayes and 2 nays. Ayes have it. The goal is set at 14 and 14. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your presentation, and thank you, board, for setting the goal.
Thank you for your time.
This ends our projects for today. We do have enough board members to continue on. Mr. Lohman, will you be continuing on with the meeting? Bob?
Bob, you're muted.
Yeah, I'm able to stay on.
Are you available to continue to conduct the final portion of the meeting?
I am. We could probably make it very brief.
Okay, if you would, I would appreciate it. I'm going to have to sign out.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
I guess that would require a motion to make me acting chair.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and second to accept Bob Lohman as the president chair, the acting chair. Clerk, call the roll.
Loman,
Aye.
Laban,
Aye.
McCready,
Aye.
Perez,
I guess.
Not with so much enthusiasm, Gabe.
Gentlemen, I'm sorry, I have to stand out. It's in your hands, Mr. Lohman.
Good luck tonight, Ray.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, so the last part we have is just review of our CREO has submitted us a number of projects that have submitted their cut plans. And actually, Ms. Dorch, I've never seen an emergency city manager waiver on goals before. Can you help us understand what that is all about?
An emergency city waiver is when it is in the best interest of the city to waive the process to expedite the contracts being engaged. I actually don't have the revised packet, so I can't see what you're looking at. Can you share your screen, please?
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't.
Oh, I don't even have it up electronically. I'm just doing it on paper. So it was a North
Let me
culvert repair.
see if I can share mine. Okay.
I'm a
Can you
paper kind
see
of
that?
guy. Yep, there you go. So, Andre, it's this project right here. And I'm just curious how the process works.
So what will happen is the department will justify or make their argument directly to the city manager to waive the process. He'll sign off on it and they'll submit it to us to waive the process. And we just accept it and it moves forward.
So we have to assume that it is truly enough of an emergency that good judgment was made.
Yes. They do send us the memo. Yes, it's usually expedient there. And most of the time what I see is like if it's a water main replacement from a water main break is usually where we get those emergency ones, but this one was a little bit different.
this is Ipsel. I could also say a little bit more onto that. They actually brought this project originally to the board, and during that process, they were having like a KC auto auction thing and it was blocking some entryways. I don't know. So they had to make it an emergency. So the department originally had submitted it to the board. But during that process, they had to speed it up.
Can't stop auto shows, I guess, or whatever it was.
So it's
I
for
can't remember
$19,000.
exactly.
It was for $19,000.
No. That's the subtotal of the subcontracting. The total project amount was 801,000. All right. And obviously, we also see the withdrawal of the traffic signal replacement because we just finalized that goal today.
Yeah.
Correct.
Does anyone else have any questions on the utilization plans?
Nope.
Any
Well, a
questions?
related question. When are we going to meet to go? I am totally confused. I've never seen a project that we let Missouri Housing set goals that we had to meet or a partner in the development deal set goals.
I'm not following you, Joe.
So I'm just saying that don't we need a face-to-face so we can go through the process? Because I was totally confused most of the day. I'm not on the screen, so I couldn't do the math fast enough.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well,
I do
Maven,
think we need. I do
I'm
think
sorry,
we
go
need a train. I do think we need a training so that we as a board can ask questions, just to make sure that we all understand and aren't making decisions based on what we think, but what is factual. So I think it would be helpful between now and the next Fairness Board meeting to have a special meeting that's training us on the new forms and, you know, the real understanding that we should have as we're setting goals in this process. It does appear that there is becoming more and more of a comfort level to call HRD out on, you know, issues around issues that the developers want to happen. So I think we just need to make sure we fully understand.
Well, you understood my comment immensely, Bridget, and also some comfort with what information we're going to get from HRD, because a lot of this stuff today, they're just all wet in terms of, you know, what the assessments actually mean. And we need to screen good faith efforts.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not so certain people understood that. And as I sat there and listened, it made me feel like they thought all of this was a quota.
Yes, there has been perceptions for sure. And you know, as you know, we're working towards eliminating that. But I do want to make clear on the MHDC one, that was prior to the Fairness and Construction Board reviewing any of the statutory agency projects, and it was a policy that was preset by the former director. So, and as you all know, the MHDC has set goals that don't follow our process. So I'll leave it at that.
Right.
I think we're good.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Sure, but before we get off of this topic, I do believe, Ms. Dortch, that it would be beneficial to at least try to get a meeting set together to go, just so that everyone can try to fully understand. And I don't disagree with Mr. Maven that it would be helpful if we could be in person, appropriately distanced and masked, just so that there's a little bit better opportunity for kind of whiteboarding it if that's the case, and making sure everybody understands how this new process works.
Yes, we can definitely make that happen. If you just let me know, we can make the room available. Our like I said, our training room, our conference room should be available in October. If not, we will find a suitable relocation so we can have proper distancing.
Okay. I would just recommend you try to find a date and time that you believe can be done, and work with the board to get a date set. And I assume that also needs to be open to the public, so we just need to make sure that we cover all of the appropriate sunshine laws as well.
Yes, and I believe that when it is a we can call it a work session or business session, and if there is any portion that we need to close, we can do so at that time. So I'll have it to send out a request for schedules, and we'll get that scheduled sooner rather than later.
Excellent. Thank you. Mr. Perez?
Well, I can hold my question until after, under other business, if you want to finish up, and then I'll be brief.
I think well, I guess there was also just a listing of the contractors that were certified or recertified.
Okay.
Any questions?
Yeah, if no one has a question there, I'll proceed, but I'll wait.
I just wanted to ask, are we, so, and maybe this is a question for the training, but in light of, you know, what we have discussed today and, you know, the different process, does that change the review of certificate, how people are certified under the NACE codes?
No, the certification process will remain the same. Unless you're suggesting a code change.
No.
No. I have some.
Okay. All right, now I think we are into other business, Mr. Perez.
Yeah, Andrea, this is really for you probably, or the legal department. What was concerned to me today is, I mean, we had legal representation on some of these projects, but is it appropriate, or does TIF, PIEA, any of the agencies have the authority and power to say what's included or excluded from the total dollar contract, and or what's included or put a cap on participation?
This is Andrea. To put a cap on participation would
Well,
essentially amount to quota, so we wouldn't, that no one would be able to do that. But to your point about whether or not the developer can submit their recommendations, they're free to, you know, provide their recommendations. They're a little bit different than our departments. Our departments do it based on historical data and historical utilization. Whereas the developers are normally they're submitting based off of their own interpretation of what can be performed, which is where I think the Fairness and Construction Board comes in fairly heavily in that aspect. I mean, the way you all analyzed the projects that were through the agencies today was actually what we would need, because some of those questions we just wouldn't know to answer outside of the quantitative measure that we've taken.
Well, one of the attorneys on the last job specifically said that TIF had excluded $1.5 million from the overall construction costs in terms of his breakout and goal setting. And I'm just wondering if
I think he was referring to that they excluded it from the contract, and that was something that we didn't realize to ask if the building was included. But I think, you know, staff, we have taken that in consideration. We will make sure to ask that going forward to get a little bit more detail. But it should be included because our goals are set on the entire project scopes and the dollar values of the projects, not based off of what's included a particular in a particular contract. I know the feds do the same. You know, it's based on what dollar amounts they actually have in a contract, where the city's program doesn't utilize that method. I hope that was a
yeah, I just
clear.
I think it's just kind of a little dangerous for them to start excluding things without really knowing how it affects the overall dollar cost. That's a big chunk out of that dollar cost, and it skews the scopes of work and the breakdown, so we can't do a true assessment. Like in this case, the building was out and they only had like 20 line items and 22, I guess, and without asking the right questions, we wouldn't know why.
Point taken, and we'll include it in our training. And I'll also work with EDC to work with the agencies on that as well.
Okay. Other than that, I'm ready for a workshop whenever.
Okay. Are there any comments from the public that might still be left hanging on? All right, hearing none. Our next Fairness in Construction Board meeting would be Thursday, October 14th. I'm assuming at whatever, 10:30, is it, which our normal time? Is that our normal time? Yep. So with that, I would entertain a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
A second? All in favor? Guess we do the roll.
Plumman,
Aye.
Maven,
Aye.
McCready,
Aye.
Perez,
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
I have 5 ayes, 0 nays.
All right. I thank everybody for their perseverance through this process and look forward from CREO to help us make it even smoother in the future. So thank you, and we'll look forward to seeing everybody soon.
See you later.
See you
Bye.
later. Thank you all.
See ya. Thank you.